Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and like I say, today it's part 2, which I don't normally do, of the Centennial Chieftain T95 review, and it's an armour test. I know I've said that it's 85mm of armour on the upper plate, and it's the same hull as the Tier 10 Chieftain, so I thought I'd bring it into the training ground, and my lovely wife has agreed to help me out. And I'm going to go and meet her now. She's in a FCM 50T Liberté with 212mm of penetration average at 100 metres. So we're going to test out the upper hull plate, the lower front plate. We're going to test out the front turret armour, and we're also going to see just how much of a liability that bloody great machine gun turret is on top of the tank. So, like I say, Malinovka. We're going to start off at 100 metres, then move to 200 metres, and then we're going to move up to 300 metres to see if even that can save that goddamn weak spot. Right, so let's get into it, and I'm going to try and do some editing and do some slow motion where you can see the hits bouncing off or penetrating, if indeed they do. So let's get cracking. Oh, so the first one hit, bounced, and went straight up and damaged the gun. That's unfortunate. And that one actually penetrated. So I've slowed it down to see if you can see where it goes in, but it acts like a shot trap. There we go, and you can see it hit and actually went just under the gun. Now, whether that's just because I've got the gun pointing up or not, I don't know, but you'd have to be very, very careful of that. Now that was interesting. That looked like that hit the sandbags and got swallowed up. That one went straight through under the gun. So again, I'm going to put that down to me having the gun raised so high to give a clear shot at the front. That one didn't even hit the upper plate. And then again, that one I think went up like a shot trap up underneath the gun. You'd still have to be careful of it, but I'd say I'm going to put that down to the gun being so high up in the air. And that one, where did that one hit? Right, any second now. Let's see if we can see where that one hits. Oh, right in that viewport, just in front of the turret ring. So I think that was more of a lucky shot, to be honest. So anymore, I mean the lower plate, basically you've just got to keep it hidden. That will be penned all day long. I mean you can see there that one hit right on the joint between the lower and the upper plate, and that penetrated. And don't forget, this is at 100 metres. I would say, and this is, you know, this is my opinion from what I've discovered, I mean your turret will block it all day long, although you do have to be very careful just in front of the machine gun turret, just under the sandbag in front of it. I think there's a viewport, and if they're very lucky they'll hit that and penetrate, but as you can see the turrets are going to bounce shots. And I would say that one of the best ranges for this is around 200 metres. It's accurate enough to hit your target at 200 metres, but you're going to get the most out of your armour. You've just got to hide that lower plate. Right, so here we are at 200 metres. I don't think I'm going to bother slowing anything down at this sort of range. She's going to put a few shots in at the upper plate, and you'll see those bounce. Going to put some shots in at the turret, and also going to shoot at the machine gun, cupola, turret, whatever you want to call it, and the lower plate as well. And you'll see that at 200 metres you don't tend to get that shot trap effect that we found at 100 metres. Although that one was a lucky shot, and that went, I don't know if that was the viewport or just under the gun at the turret ring. But again, I've put the gun up out the way to avoid that getting hit, and so that she's got clear shots at the upper plate there. But you can see that went straight through that lower plate. It is angled, it's got the very smallest of pike nose effects on it, but it's going to get penetrated. And I can't stress enough that you've just got to really manage that lower plate there. And again, that was a lucky shot on that turret ring. So I'm going to put the gun down, and she's going to take some shots at the front of the turret, just to show you how effective this can be in a hold down position at range, but you really do have to be careful of that machine gun turret on top. And again, that's something else I can't stress enough. It's horrific, and it's, to be honest, I don't think it really needs to be as weak as it is. I wouldn't call this tank overpowered if that cupola turret thing got a slight buff to its armour, because the hull on this, the lower plate, I mean, yeah, if you get in a hull down position, you're going to be very tough, but so is a T29. But you can outflank it, you can use arty to root him out, and there are tanks that could flank this, and the side of the turret and the side of the hull are not very strong at all and can be quite easily penetrated. But I do think that, as you can see, I mean, this is 200 meters and it's punching straight through. It's only around, I think it's 45-50 mil, that machine gun turret, so it's not very thick at all. And yeah, I think it does need a buff, and like I say, I don't think it'd make this tank overpowered. Even in a hull down position, yeah, you'd bounce a few shots, but you get close, you outflank, and like I say, T29 is a very strong tank in a hull down position, but people don't call OP on that. And I'm not saying that the machine gun turret needs to be rock solid, but I do think it needs a slight buff to it. But anyway, here we are at 300 meters, and this is not to test out the upper plate, because obviously if it can bounce at 100 meters and 200 meters, it's going to at 300. And the lower plate, again, not really testing that out, because I'm pretty sure it can be penetrated at 300 meters. But if you can hide your lower plate, and I think this is a very effective range for this vehicle. I mean, you can get closer, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying stay 300 meters away and be a little camp de bush at the back, but what I mean by that is, if you've got your lower plate hidden, even slightly by a small bump in the ground or something like that, then they're going to hit your upper plate, they're going to hit the front of your turret, they're going to try and hit your machine gun on top. But I mean, the FCM Liberté, the FCM 50T and Liberté, sort of in extension, them being the same tank, they're not, you know, they're quite accurate, they are a fairly accurate tank, but at 300 meters she's having trouble actually hitting the machine gun turret on top. So if you had that lower plate hidden, the only place they could really penetrate you is that machine gun turret. And you know, my lovely wife, she's putting a few shots in, and a lot of them are missing, and the odd one bounces because it's not hitting dead center, it's moving off to one side or the other. And that's what I said about earlier. Just in front of the machine gun turret, underneath that sandbag, there's a viewport and a slightly flattened bit of turret, and that hit there and penetrated. But as you can see, the difficulty at 300 meters, it's not that the armor is, that the penetration on the shells coming in at that machine gun turret have dropped off, it's hitting the damn thing. And as you can see, she put some shots into the lower plate, and at 300 meters, no problem penetrating. Well, I hope this little demonstration has been useful for you. It's not so much helped me out, it's something I've figured out on my own, but I thought I'd put it up there, and I thought people might find it helpful to see what the armour of this thing can and can't do, and by extension, I mean the Chieftain Mark 6 at tier 10 is essentially the same sort of setup. It's the same hull with a very, very strong turret, so hopefully that'll help you with that as well. Anyway, as always, if you've enjoyed what you've seen and you have found it helpful, please leave a like or a comment or subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And as always, take care out there, and I will catch you next time. See you later.